Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Stream live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs Eric Ellis and Tommy Lewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis. I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation, and I'm joined by my good friend and brother,
Tommy Lewis, president and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Tommy. How are you, man?
Doing well. It's always a great pleasure to be with you. I'm enjoying this past week, and I look forward to our guests today. Man, I'm excited. But it's I'm inside Eric in air conditioning because it is hot and humid already.
Absolutely, man. I was wondering why you wasn't out back with the hammock, man. All them cicadas, right?
Yeah, the cicadas. Yeah, that's the other thing, man.
I had a couple smackdowns with the cicadas. You saw that the cicadas made a man have a big old wreck, right? He ran into a pole. A cicada jumped in, hit him in the face. I guess he just ran off the road, man.
Hey, that made national news, right?
Right. How many more weeks we got?
You know, they're saying 2 to 3 more weeks. You know, I know the vast majority they've already transitioned, but there's some that's still hanging on for the party, trying to see what they can do, right? And for the last 2 weeks, but I think
I knew brothers like that in college, man. You know, just hanging around at the last of the party, see who they can go home with. That's the cicadas. Trying to get a last little date before it all ends.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Well, we've got a wonderful guest with us this morning, Emmanuel Jackson. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing very good this morning. How are you doing, sir?
Awesome. And we are I had a chance to meet Dr. Jackson at the FedEx office store in Westchester on Tylersville. Are you all Westchester, right? Westchester? Yes. Okay. Tylersville, and had some outstanding world-class service. And it was so impressive that I wanted to make sure that I introduced him to the world. And Tommy, we're going to talk a little bit about customer service because all of us have had probably good experiences, a lot of bad or average experiences, right? So we got some work to do in this space. Emmanuel, we start by sort of talking about our week. And so, Tommy, why don't you just sort of talk about your week, how it went. And then Emmanuel will ask you about your week as well, and I'll do the same.
My week was a good, very productive, very busy week, Eric. I had a lot of starting early days, around 4:30, 5 o'clock starting times,
right? And
then wrapping up around 5 and 6, maybe even 7 o'clock. But we've been working aggressively with a few clients in both the public sector as well as the nonprofit sector, with helping them navigate these waters of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Companies are really seeing the value add and the benefit of DE&I in their organizations, and one of which is around customer service. How to better service the internal customer, which are our employees and coworkers, as well as the external customer, those customers that really keep us in business at the end of the day. Without the external customer, we may be doing something different, if anything at all. And so we've been working with companies this week. And then the second thing and last thing is that, Eric, we are preparing for the Illuminate Leadership Conference.
Okay.
July 18th through the 23rd. That's at Northern Kentucky University. It is for 7th and 8th graders. Right. We do have a couple of 9th graders. They're going to spend a 6-day residential leadership program experience with us. That is, they're going to come to a university campus. They're going to learn leadership skills, not only your problem solving or your critical thinking or your goal setting, but really work through scenarios and projects to develop solutions. For one of the projects is a food desert.
Okay.
So for those who are less familiar, a food desert is where there's a community that does not have a grocery store, typically within a 5 to 10 mile radius, where
Okay.
residents have to travel 5 miles or 8 miles or 10 miles to purchase groceries. And that's just one way.
Right.
So in some communities, transportation is not as accessible. So 10 miles is literally unimaginable. It's 100 miles away. And so these young people will be working on things like how to solve a food desert issue, how to create homeless shelters, how to address the learning loss of seventh, eighth, and ninth graders due to the COVID global pandemic. That's what we're working on. I will invite you and anyone listening and watching to go to the website. It is www.ili-leaders.org. ili-leaders.org, and learn how to enroll a student today.
Now, Tommy, is it still open? Are there still spaces for people to be able to sign up for the conference?
Yes, there is. We will close registration at the end of this week, on Friday, the 15th of June. That's just registration. There is a payment plan if a parent or a family wants to be a part of the payment plan. There are no scholarships available.
How much does it cost?
It's for the entire week. All of the materials, all of the supplies, the field trips, the meetings with 3 or 4 executives, corporate executives and nonprofit executives, and all of the external mixers and events, $600 for the entire week.
Okay.
We know that the research says that programs like this, Eric, are typically between $1,500 and $4,500.
Right.
The program that I put my son Bryce in that lasted 5 days was $4,500. Our program is $600. So we invite you to come to ili-leaders.org and register today.
Is it residential as well? Do they stay on the campus?
Yes, they do. They're in the luxury suites on the campus. So that is, it will accommodate 4 students per suite. There are 2 students in the rooms, each room, and then there's a large common area, right? It is top shelf experience for 7th and 8th graders, right? And this is basically graduate student lounge living, that the middle school students will be exposed to. Absolutely.
Right. So Kendall Wright just said he'll sponsor a student. I will as well. And so, and I think that we need to also, I don't know if you've already connected with Deron Hunter and the programs that he has. I'm speaking, I think, this week at one. So I may find a student over there, that I'll sponsor, and let's talk this week, because I want to help out in trying to get some other people to sponsor students as well. So if you have some need around that.
Absolutely. I do want to say again, thank you, Eric, for extending the offer to sponsor. And Dr. Wright, thank you. Please know that was not my intention.
Oh, no, man. It's good stuff. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. And I love that you stay so busy doing so many wonderful and exciting and transformative things, Tommy. That's great, man. Great to hear. Emmanuel, how are you this morning?
Doing very good. Doing very good. It's a blessed morning.
Excellent. How was your week?
It was good. It was good. Not on the level of Mr. Lewis, but I would definitely say it's been a good week for sure. For sure. I've been working on some personal development things. Recently got a new apartment, so I've been kind of filling the space for that. Thank you. Thank you. And I just got actually an office desk, so I've been putting that together all morning, a little bit in the night. So I'll be working on that today and just kind of working on professionally developing myself. I'm looking to transition into new opportunities for myself and many products that I've been working on, kind of making sure that I do what I have to do to, see the success that I want. So. So very good, very good.
Well,
Very
good. And I want us to talk. So maybe even after the show, we'll connect again because there's some thoughts I've already had, and so we'll talk about those. This has been a great week for me. I think there's only one way to look at a week that you're still alive, that you lived through the pandemic, that you got vaccinated, is to look at it as it was a good week. We don't like the cicadas. I videotaped a couple of them, had a couple smackdowns, you know, you have to go on the offensive with these cicadas. You can't just sit back and be a victim. I'm telling people, don't do it.
Don't do it, Eric. You would lose. You would lose.
That's right. And we saw the cicadas had many victims this week too, man. I mean, crashed the car, everything, man. So, it's been funny. But I had some good work with several clients, and I'm always inspired. Tommy, I was especially inspired by a client that received some not so positive news from the focus groups, and the CEO responded in such a positive way, man, with trust. That's why I tell people that we believe, Tommy, in working with companies in phases, because we want to give them natural stopping points to determine if we're still the right partner for them. But we also believe that that change happens over time, and that a client has to be able to trust us. Kendall knows this, you know this, that clients have to be able to trust us. And sometimes that takes some time. But when you've built that trusting relationship, you then have something in the bank, some capital, relationship capital in the bank, that if you need to draw upon that, you can. But I also talked to you about the article that I read. You and I are constantly continuing to learn. We're lifelong learners, aren't we, Tommy?
Yes, we are. Yes,
we really believe in that, man. We don't just believe in trying to teach people. We learn from our clients. We learn from each other. We learn because we love the work that we do. And so I'm building all this asynchronous training. And one of the areas that we're focusing on is inclusion readiness. And so I was just thinking about all the things that people need as they try to prepare themselves to become more inclusive. And we recognize that some people are like Emmanuel, who are excited about it, who are real advocates in this space. But there are other folks that don't get it. They think it's political. So we're trying to deal with all of those in that inclusion readiness. And so for one of the questions I think that people have to be able to ask and answer is, what's in it for me? And what's in it for me personally? What's in it for me professionally? And so one of the things that I think is in it is just the personal growth of curiosity. And I was talking about all the things that I've learned about what curiosity does for us. It makes us better performers in the business environment. It allows us to be more innovative. It allows us to bring down confirmation bias and stereotyping. Those things decrease. Defensiveness decreases as we become more curious. So a lot of what we're seeing in the country right now in terms of ideological civil war and tribalism, a lot of that would go down. And you and I can see that, can't we, Tommy? Yes. That if people are more interested in finding truth and solutions, it makes you less defensive, because you see there's problems on all sides. So I was really grateful for the experience. I had Wendell and Kathy doing some focus group interviews. We thank the employees. One of the things I think, Tommy, that we're going to start doing some research around is sort of the reactions to inclusion surveys in this current environment. And I want to just throw this at you and see what your thoughts are. I think that when people are responding to an inclusion survey, the question they're asking three questions. Is this survey about me? In other words, when you send me a survey, you say you want me to fill it out. Is that because you're interested in me and making the place better for me? If I feel that way, if my perception is that it's about me, then I fill it out honestly and enthusiastically, and I brag about the company. Yeah. If I think that the survey is about the company, in other words, it ain't about me. It's about my manager and the leadership's interest in identifying if I'm loyal or not. In other words, they're going to be looking at my survey results, and they're going to be choosing to celebrate those who agree with them and like them, and then sort of take action against, retaliation against those that say critical things. Then I don't tell the truth. I say, no, all is well. I lie on the survey because it ain't about me. It's about you. Or is it about others? And so if the respondent thinks that this survey is about minorities and women and the LGBTQ, that's others for many people. And so again, they will then say glowing things because they see inclusion as a political statement. So we don't need to do any more stuff there. Yeah, we're fine. So they'll give you an artificially inflated response because it's about others. And I think that we've already talked about that enough. So I'd love your thoughts on that either today or as we continue to work in this space, because I think that there's a lot going on. We have to determine if we can trust the validity of the answers that we're getting from people because of the environment that we're in.
So I'll just add very quickly, Eric, and I think you're spot on. Spot on. My ad is with these surveys, diversity, equity, and inclusion surveys, if they are looking to get the voice of the customer, to understand the lived experiences of the employees, or
right.
in some cases, it's to try to understand what the company should do, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, if it is the voice of the customer, there is a little bit of a concern when the company is asking for the voice of the customer. Are they then gathering that data as a majority or general response? In other words, if you ask 10 people,
right,
how was your experience?
Right.
And 8 people say, my experience was great.
Right.
The feedback is, we're doing a great job.
Right.
But what about the 2 that are saying the service is bad?
Right.
And
That's
those
right.
2 go and spread that news that the service is bad. And now the 8 who say it's good, 2 or 3 of them, for whatever reason, they haven't returned. But the 2 that have said that the service is bad have told others. And now you have 5 people and 8 people and 10 people and 20 people saying the service is bad without even getting the service.
Right.
Right. So when you do a DE&I survey and if you don't listen to all of the voices, you just take the critical mass, the vast majority or the general critical mass, then you're missing the purpose of equity and inclusion of all. Right. So I think you're spot on, Eric. I just wanted to add those 2 cents.
Thank you, man. That's excellent. So let me give a little bit of background. And Tommy, I'd like to hear your experience too. And then we're going to come right to our guest to we're just sort of laying the groundwork for this conversation here. So I have in my life, I've had some good experience with customer service, and I'm the kind of person that when people give me great service, I want to tip them big. I want to celebrate them. I want to send notes to the company. I like acknowledging good service. And Emmanuel, I'll still have to do that with you. But every once in a while, Tommy, we get bad experiences. And so I was at a restaurant. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I was at going to Papa Do's, which I love Papa Do's, and I go there a lot. They've got an African-American that's a general manager. I think he does a great job. I've been served, curbside service by his daughter. Phenomenal, great experience. But I went there one day and it was a bad day. I was, told me, hey, 25 minutes, meal be ready. So I get there, right on time, which is not always the case. I call them, nobody answers. I call again. Nobody answers. I called a 3rd time. Nobody answers. So the 4th time I called, Tommy, now I'm parked in the stall. I've been now in my car for 15 minutes. I get out of the car, go into the restaurant with the phone still ringing. Look, maybe a little dramatic. And I go to the little hostess stand and say, is anybody picking up the phone while it's still ringing? And they said, we've been having problems with the phones. Well, that wasn't the answer I was really looking for, but then I said, well, where's my food? And they said, well, you can talk to the supervisor around the corner. I went around the corner, talked to this young sister, man, and she just went off on me. I mean, I'm the one that's still waiting. She's going off on me. Like, I told you we're busy. I said, well, ma'am, I mean, I made 4 calls out there, and I come in, and I just think that you all will do something to acknowledge that this was a major kind of customer faux pas, if you will. She wasn't having none of that. She says, hold on, because the phone was ringing. She picks it up. It's me. I said, ma'am, that's me. I'm still on the phone. So finally she picked it up. I said, could you go get your supervisor? She went and got her supervisor, and he came out. I'll tell you, Emmanuel, to his credit, he responded super positively. Now, Tommy, I've not seen that. You know what I mean? A lot of times when a manager goes back and tells the story, they bias that senior manager in a way that they just come out and treat you nasty as well. Go back and say it's an irate customer out here who wants a free meal. And so he came out to his credit, handled business. I tipped him $100.
Yep.
I said, I want to make a statement here. I want to make sure that people understand that for me, it wasn't about no free meal.
Yeah.
It was about customer service. And when you treated me with great customer service, I want to make sure that you communicate the importance of that to others. And so with that as the background, Emmanuel, I want to really just introduce you again as a store consultant for FedEx office there on Tylersville. Tell us a little bit about your background, how long you've been working with the company, what's the good news, and maybe even a little bit about your own customer service philosophy. Let's start there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for this opportunity. I'm very happy and glad to be here with you both today, viewers and everything. I really appreciate this opportunity. And a little bit about myself. I graduated from Kent State University back in 2019. I'm currently looking to pursue my master's in communication design and user experience design. I got my undergraduate degree in communication design with a background in public relations. So it kind of helps follow into the kind of experience I've been having in customer service and kind of helping to my skills there. And so I've been kind of focusing on professional development, learning more skills as I can and grow on through my years of retail and also through academia as well too. And then also kind of through personal experiences through working, career-wise and things of that nature. So I started at FedEx office about roughly, I would say, a year ago and some months back in February last year during the before the pandemic started. So I kind of been working with them, working as a store consultant, kind of having that that face of the company kind of aspect, kind of working in the stores to kind of make sure everyone has their needs met and taken care of. And do that kind of work we do at FedEx office. We kind of help with shipping and production, lots of interpersonal experiences and moments that we share with customers. They'll come into the store. Kind of first thing we kind of see as the need to do is ask them to greet them, of course, say with a warm welcome smile, office, and then follow with what brings you in today, and kind of making that the first interaction they have, warm and friendly, and then kind of having to be there to meet their need, and to kind of working with them to kind of understand what they come into the store for and how we can best serve them. So the conversation kind of follows as there's FedEx office has like a training that they do with us, where we have about necessarily 4 to 5 steps that we take. One is welcoming the customer, asking them to welcome them in, how are you today, kind of getting to know them, kind of building that rapport with them, and then following up with what brings you in today, and then kind of collaborating with them on their project, where they might be shipping to across the country, even around the world, to maybe even doing production orders with making a poster for a wedding event, or therefore have you. And kind of that follows into kind of working with them and kind of getting to the point where we can develop a final product for them, whether it be a shipping for a label or whether it be like actual production of an event, like a poster or a sign or a banner. And then following up also with, pricing as well too, kind of helping them understand the production and lay down of the work that we do here, and how much it costs and things like that for it. And then finally checking them out, and then also continuing with having them come back as well too. So creating that kind of experience for them that wants them to, that leads them to want to come back to see us, every time, instead of our competitors or other stores maybe. So kind of my philosophy behind that is always each individual with a warm and welcome smile, but treating them like they are the king, of England, or the queen of England, kind of put on airs for them, to make them feel special and welcome. That's kind of been my philosophy in my, I would say about 10 years working in service related jobs, whether it be retail with fashion, retail with your food industry, or to now with more, stationary and production, things like that. kind of making sure that each and every experience that I kind of give is a top tier experience for them. I want them to leave the store saying, wow, if I was having a bad day, I have a good day now, or if not, I didn't know what I was doing before then. If I was in my problem or situation kind of, met a need, but now I can walk away fully knowing that everything that I did in that store was fully taken care of, and kind of creating, a better day for the customer. And I look to, I hone in on my skills, from many different areas, whether it be my career in retail, or customer service related jobs, or to my academia as well too, just to make sure that I'm fully equipped to make sure that this person is fully taken care of to the best of my ability. So I believe in, really creating an interpersonal experience that's enjoyable for not only, for the customer, but for everyone also watching as well too. A lot of the times I'll, during to the layout of FedEx office, the other customers will see me interacting with other customers, and I see a lot of the time them expressing how well I work with other customers there as well too. So I think it's important to always make sure that you create that experience that's very pleasurable for customers that come into your store, because I'll keep them coming back essentially. But also it makes me feel very happy inside knowing that I can help take care of people.
Wow, Tommy, reactions?
Yeah, I was curious, and what led to you really getting into the customer service business, be it retail, as you mentioned? What led to you really getting into the space?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's an excellent question. And I would say my answer to that would be honestly human connection. I love personal interactions with people and kind of just getting to know people. I love the aspect of networking. I believe it's important to, know as many people as you can to create as many experiences as you can, and positive experiences at that. So working, I seen as the best opportunity to do so was working early on in a lot of retail and customer-led kind of face-to-face interactions with people. I think that's the best way to kind of learn skills, and not only learn, to improve your skills, but learn skills from other people as well too, and just honestly hear their stories. A lot of the times people come into the office, just to, print off a couple things or to ship a small package. But a lot of the times I get those rare moments where I get to have actual conversation with learn from them, have stories such as Mr. Ellis himself here, and to be in these spaces like this that we have now. So you never know where these interactions may lead to. So that's also a very important thing that I hold dear to me. Having to be able to experience that, their experience, make it better for them, but also for myself as well too. And have that, have them tell me their story and learn their story and learn from them. I think that's a very important and rare thing that we don't get to experience a lot with human connection. A lot of things are, with technology, on the rise, and everything. A lot of jobs and kind of face-to-face conversations, and due to the pandemic as well too, kind of been taking a back seat, and everything with the back burner and things like that. But as we get more to opening up with the pandemic, I think it's important that we have more social interactions with people and learn from one another, connect with one another, network and things like that. So I found that a very valuable aspect
Right.
to kind of continue to do for myself, further on.
Let me add this too. So, I've not really, this shows you I done got out of touch with sports. I've not really watched Chris Paul play a lot. I've heard his name forever. I got a chance just to see him a little bit this last week. And what I saw him do was scoring all over the place. I mean, he was, when I was watching, he was up to 19 points. He had 15 assists and he had no turnovers. And so that's how I saw Emmanuel Jackson. He was like the Chris Paul of FedEx. I mean, he was fishing. I mean, he was doing it, man. He was making one person say, hey, to another customer, welcome to the store. I mean, he was hitting it like that, man. I was like, what is this? Right. He was like a customer service superhero or something like that. That's why I asked him to come here with the FedEx uniform on, so that FedEx can understand the value of diversity in terms of how it speaks to customers.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, man, what you did. Now, I looked at their scores. The numbers don't look that good for FedEx. Yeah. It's about a 3.5 on a 5-point scale. That ain't good. And so they need this help. What's the business case? This is the business case. It's this young man right here killing it. And I just admired. I'm telling you, when you watch someone at their craft.
Yes, Eric.
It looked like a ministry almost.
Yes.
But he was just kindly and warmly handling customers, apologizing for the delay, calling out the name of the customers that he knew. What, you know your customers?
Yes.
Holding casual conversation, never being thrown off by the detail of your request.
Yep.
Trying to understand it. When you've asked him the second option, third option, fourth option, could you redo that? I mean, come on now. I know as a customer, he's supposed to be at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, bro. Can you wrap this up? This is the end. And I came in there at the end of the shift.
Yeah.
And so now he's got a choice to make. And Tommy, you've seen him make those choices, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
You come in late. I get it. If I was working, I don't like that either. I mean, they just really, he could have easily said, this is going to take you till tomorrow or 2 days from now.
Yeah.
And he chose not to, against what he knew it was going to cost him. And you know what, Emmanuel? I saw you making all that calculation and you landed in the place that was in the favor of the customer. Now, how rare is that, Tommy?
That is rare, Eric, especially today. Especially today. Customer service is a lost craft.
Woo!
Absolutely. And I used to think it was a generational thing or a lack of training thing,
Right.
or just a personality thing, right? And Brother Cooley, we do need him in LA, in Southwest Ohio. We need him to be in the corporate space of FedEx to be able to navigate the transition into doing the craft, and then teaching and educating and leading people to do the craft. And
Right.
so I think it's very important. I do have a follow-up question, Emmanuel.
Yes, sir.
So we are all human beings, and meaning we're all imperfect. We have our days, our good days, and excellent, as Eric and I say, our A+ days.
Right. Right.
And then we have our B-, C-.
Right.
Sometimes we have that D or F day.
Right.
When you are in your C-, C+ day and moment, what do you do to do two things? Not allow the customer to see that you have your C game playing, and then two, how do you get out of that C role to get back to scoring and dishing?
Right.
A game.
Right.
What do you do?
Sir, yes, sir. Well, thank you. That's excellent. To answer the first part of the question, what I do to kind of make sure that customers see my C days, I would honestly, I believe in the philosophy of leaving you at the door. I believe showing up in the space that I'm in and giving my at all given points in time. I may, maybe having a bad day as I walk in there, the world can be upon me. As soon as I walk in that, in that store for the first day or the last day, I game time. It's game time for me. So, I believe in put my best foot forward at all given points in time. And also, I believe in not, allowing my bad day to affect other people's day as well, too. I may be having the worst day of my life, but I don't want you to see that because I don't want to affect your day for you. And if it can, allow me to help you have a better day, I'm going to do that, everything in my power to do so. I believe in, really making my own problems, making, people's problems better for them. And to answer your second question, what I do to kind of allow them to make sure they don't see my C days, as well as much as allowing myself to kind of get better, and for myself, for my day, and kind of improve my day so I can, make the shots and score. I would say, honestly, helping, better people's day. Has to help my day, honestly. And that's kind of a cliche thing to say, I know, but if I can help someone have a better day, it puts a smile on my face. People sometimes walk into the store, I can visibly see their C days, even their F days,
Yeah.
That's very common sometimes walking into the store. But if I can turn it around, help them have an A day, that's the best thing in the world for me right there, honestly, is allowing people to have better experiences and leaving people with better experiences in the fun before they walk into the store. I believe in, helping people see the best within FedEx office, but the best within themselves as well, too. However I that, I will do so,
Right.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So you see what Terry Cooley said here to you. Tell him to stay that way, because you never know who's watching. You are your own advertisement. And I think that's power as well. That's the very powerful comment that he's made here. So let me ask you this. How do you respond when you see poor customer service as you go around? What's your own reaction to that?
I'm a bit taken aback, by that. I understand that, people have their days, of course, and not everyone is, willing to put their best foot forward and everything. Some people's best is, what they give you sometimes, unfortunately. I kind of see it as opportunity, for learning. So when I walk in and see, per se the other side, see myself, in those positions, or people, are on this other side, I'm walking in as the customer. Visibly I might see them, but through action all the times I may see them might not having the best day. So the first thing I kind of look to do is grant a little grace with them. I may not know, what's going on. I don't know what their world looks to them outside of what I'm seeing currently. So granting grace is my first thing with really honestly with anything. Really by, kind of meet and match their energy. I'm my first kind of thing that I do is take a step back and say, what might this person be going through that I'm kind of seeing, where to meet them where they're at, even as the customer sometimes, and kind of what can I do even in my position if he has a customer to kind of help them have an easier day. And through, I kind of speak to what you, Mr. Ellis, kind of talking with them, saying, highlighting the good points, things that they do, well and everything, kind of just taking a step back and say, I'm going to make this an easy interaction for them to kind of help better their day for the next customer as well too. Maybe have a smile on my face, compliment them and give them a tip, that'll help the next customer, and help their day kind of flow a little easier for them. So that's kind of my thing when I see, people having a C day, things like that, service well. So let me help them out a little bit because I know how, I know what it's like to be in their shoes. Let me allow them to help them to walk a little better.
So you're not only you don't only provide good customer service, but you're also a good customer. In other words, you are thinking about others at all times. Now, I would imagine that a bunch of people at FedEx office have received the same training, but I don't think they're applying it in the same way. I also think that people need to see you, Emmanuel, because they need to also see that the stereotypes that people have about young African Americans in terms of their service providing are off. Those are not accurate. That there are some people out here that are getting it done. And I can tell you right now that FedEx is on your shirt today. But if FedEx is not doing what they need to be doing to secure the investment in you, you're not just advertising for them. This is advertising for yourself. And people they're going to get their pockets picked quickly. I'm thinking about picking the pockets, because people see that as sort of strategic added value. What is your value proposition? And you are making the case for that by your character, not simply what you've learned in school, but how you choose to manifest that externally, is powerful, man. And I just think that that's so important for people to see. So let me say, just throw a couple things at you. Well, let me give you another scenario and then ask you what would be your coaching for this person. So I go into a camera store. I told this story a little bit ago. I go into a camera store, over there in Kenwood. I'm wearing my Canon bag, Emmanuel, because I know that sometimes we don't always get looked upon as a customer.
Yes.
So I have my Canon bag on. There's a woman, she's on the phone. And so I'm walking by her, she doesn't give me the acknowledgement that you did. You know what I'm saying? When you see a customer coming, you say, hey, just, something. She didn't give me none of that. Just buried her head into the phone. And so I walked a little closer, like maybe she can't see good. So I walked a little closer just to let her know that when you get off the phone, maybe. So I waited. And she finally got off the phone and she didn't acknowledge me. She started talking to a coworker. And so I'm like, And so she says to him, oh, well, I think I'm going to take a break. Can you handle it from here? And he says, oh, yeah, I got you. Nobody acknowledges me, and I'm from here to here. And then a young white female comes in the door and she says, "Oh, can I help you?"
Oh,
Yeah, that's unfortunate reality that we live a lot of times.
Now I've got a decision to make.
Yeah.
Do I confront this? So I said something to the guy like, I was. He says, I got you. I got you. And I just walked out of the store, man, because what I determined, Emmanuel, is that the effort that it was going to take for me to try to bring this to somebody's attention wasn't worth it. Because it's bad now, but it actually could get worse.
yes.
If they don't acknowledge it, if they don't take responsibility. Then I sat in my car for a minute and I made a calculation on, do I go back and bring this to somebody's attention, maybe ask for a manager or not? And on that occasion, I had already spent too much. See, in my young day, when I was a young guy, I would tackle all of those.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older, no. I pick and choose, man. And I choose usually just get it off of Amazon. So that's what I did. The thing I was looking for, I got off of Amazon. No bad customer service there. It just comes in the mail. You drop it on my porch. But what would be your coaching? How would you try to handle this if you were a supervisor that had observed that?
Yes, sir. So there are many things there actually that I would kind of look to fix within that. Through probably the most important, through the most kind of valuable thing that I would see is through training, honestly, to speak to your background, Mr. Ellis, as well, to training in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think, people who kind of have that, I think we're talking about what I say when I meet those kind of people and everything, have that bias towards people of, races, different sexual orientations, different genders, and different type of characteristics and things that they identify themselves with. I think, learning to take off that lens of bias that you have, honestly, and treat everyone with the respect they deserve, walking into the store. You need to treat every customer the same and treat every customer better than, the next, honestly. And keep improving upon that as you can. I think I believe in having the customer be always right kind of philosophy that kind of is here and there, but I do believe in treating every customer with the respect they deserve walking into your store and seeing every as the same, and seeing every customer as an opportunity to help someone in need, whatever may they be coming to your store for. I think, that kind of having that kind of be the face and the other philosophy is kind of very important. Having everyone kind of understand that early on will allow a situation like this to not to be so common. And then also, I think you're personally working with, the team that you have there, having lady, that you spoke to, and also that gentleman as well too, saying what are improvement. I think, we can always work to improve. I'm constantly working to improve myself, as my background of 10 years, I'm always looking to, develop that more and more and hone in and sharpen those skills that I have, in customer service. So I would say, reaching out to say, hey, let's see where we missed here. There was a couple things, with you acknowledging the customer, with your attitude towards the customer, and kind of the pass off, the layup, if you will, kind of going on the sports terminology here. With other, coworker that you had here, first things first, kind of what I would do in that situation is when you came in, given I'm working with another customer on the phone, but acknowledgement is key. You have to acknowledge every person that walks into that store. So even if it's like a hi, a smile, a finger wave, or even like, cover, I'll be right with you, sir, one moment, please. Every customer feels seen. Woo! That's the most important thing that I've learned in any field of, customer I've been working in, making sure that customer feels, seen and heard and respected. That's the first thing. That'll lead to any great interaction. That's the foundation work that you have to do. And kind of, following up with that sometimes I'm on the phone for a little bit longer than expected, so sorry for the wait. I'll be right with you. One moment, please. Feel free to browse our retail, kind of rectifying the situation any way you can to making that experience more enjoyable to where they're not sitting there, getting impatient, things like that. They make sure they feel seen and heard and well respected. I think that's the first and foremost thing you can do for yourself. And then following with that, sometimes I do, realize we get tired, and sometimes we want to take a break immediately. But sometimes, you have to really put the customer first and everything. You walk into that store and you have to wait. So it's not fair you have to wait longer than you have to. So immediately I would have got to you and say, thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate you waiting, holding on for me. What can I do for you? And immediately get to, working with you to kind of meet the need that you need to be met. I think that's the first and foremost thing, maybe taking your break a little bit later, or even if she, really was on her last leg, just saying to transition off to the pass, off to the layup for her coworker and say, hey, this customer's been waiting pretty while. Can you please get to him? I'm not in the space to do so, but can you please see him first? Because he was already here, who else is walking in the door, kind of that first come, first serve basis, making sure everyone has their time and their, this is their money, they're respected, and having that kind of moment with them and say, hey, I saw that you were waiting here long. What can I do for you here? And maybe even at the end of it, offering a little discount, something to rectify the situation. A lot of times, I'll offer coupons to customers, I'll say when they come, I'll take care of you personally and make sure you're seen first and foremost when you walk into the store next time. Kind of creating that experience and kind of to right the wrongs that you may have seen done or wrongs that may not actually be present, but to the point where you can make it right before they even make the wrong. So, I believe in always, making sure the customer has a full, enjoyable experience, and working with them to where they can walk out of that store and they have a smile on their face at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah, Emmanuel, I think again you're spot on, man. I'm so encouraged to have met you today.
Thank you.
I really am. I truly am, and I'll share a quick anecdotal situation as well. And you alluded to it a little bit, but your advice, I think I'm going to share that feedback to a vendor that I frequent.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a particular automobile, and I purchased the automobile in 2013, brand spanking new. And when I purchased the automobile, I made a decision that I would only go back to that dealer to have any and all services done. And so every 3 months, like clockwork, I'm going back to the to the dealer. Any dings on my car, anything, I'm going back to the dealer. And so now I'm, 7 years in or so, and there are some services that are needed based on a aging vehicle, and the services that I need are pretty pricey. Pretty pricey. To be frank, it's in the tune of around $3,500. I'm basically doing everything I need to do to have the car for another 10 or even 15 years. And I
Right.
think it can last that long, but I'm doing everything. So I'm
Right.
making the investment. And I'm going in to make this investment. And just on a whim, I want to buy some new rims for my car.
Right.
Right? I like my car. I take good care of it. And so, hey, how much are the rims? It's going to be about another $1,000 to $1,500. Let's do it. Let's do it. Right?
Right.
I'm
Right.
balling out of control right now.
Right. Right.
I'm out of control. Right? Let's do it. Let's do it.
Right.
6 weeks later, I still haven't received my rims. The rims had come in, but they were wrong.
Ah,
There was a problem with them.
right.
They came back in again, and the centerpiece of the wheel was missing. And I'm meticulous about certain things.
All right.
The vendor says, "You gave us the wheels without the centerpiece." Oh no, I didn't.
Right.
No, I know I wouldn't have done that
Right.
because it's an eyesore,
Right. Right. We don't do
right?
ISO.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, uh, and I'm still being, I have the patience of Job. I do. And I'm working with the guy who I've been working with for 7+ years. And Joe, listen, we're 7 weeks in, almost 8 weeks in, 2 months.
Right.
I need some resolution. He
Right.
tells me, I agree. So then I get my rims. Again, the repairs on my car are already done. And they offer me a refund, a $200 refund, right? Okay, right? I'll take it. When I go get the refund was actually $125 back to my credit card and $75 as a store credit. And what I felt and thought was, I understand trying to get a repeat customer, right, to come back in, but you lied to me and it finagled me to have to come back to
Right.
use the $75 that you told me I was going to get back in my credit card cash. So in sharing that story, and this is not about sharing negative stories, right? My question is, when you are confronted with a customer that is at their wits' end
Mm.
and there is no perceivable solution for the past transgression, right? What's happened in the past has happened. I just want this to be over with,
Right.
right? And knowing, Emmanuel, you know that customer, although their experience is bad, they will still come back.
Mm.
How do you educate and train other professional customer service reps to know that if they overspeak, overpromise, it
Mm.
will damage the relationship
Wow.
versus saying, I am so sorry for everything, inconvenience, right? The rebate or the refund being incorrect, and just being silent
Yeah.
and let
Follow
the
the
customer.
sword and be silent.
Yep.
Yep. So what's your coaching around that with that new customer service rep who wants to overpromise and underdeliver?
Yes, sir. That's a very powerful question. I think you really open up to a big issue that we have in the customer service world with a lot of corporations, a lot of just people in general working in customer service, and something I would kind of see as just from my own personal experience, something I've seen that a couple of times before where these customers have seen multiple people before me, they get to me and the situation
Mm.
gotten worse and worse, layers and
Right.
issues, and then it breaks down. And here I am, with a smile on my face. What can I do for you? And it opened up the floodgates.
Right.
I possibly rectify the situation. But I think honestly, yeah, I think you said it yourself. Actually, the most powerful thing we can do sometimes is listen. I think the most powerful thing we do is just listen. Sometimes it doesn't take. Sometimes sorry doesn't do it. Sometimes doesn't do it. Sometimes, that may not do it. It's just listening to the customer because clearly before they got to you, none of those people listened to them. So I take upon myself to sit there and listen to their story. No matter how busy I am, no matter how many customers, I'm going to listen to your story and make you feel seen, and make you feel heard because done for you. So that's the biggest thing that I can feel like I can do for you is to make you feel heard and to actually fully listen to your story to see what I can do here in this moment to, to best assist you to rectify the situation. It may not be fully rectifiable, but what can I do to kind of make sure it doesn't happen again? And it's kind of a learning opportunity for a lot of corporations, I think, is for when those experiences happening to really take that and do everything in your power to fix it, but also to, I believe in proactive problem solving. I don't think that we should all the time solve a problem when it's right in front of us. We should look for solutions to problems that might arise. I think that's the best thing that a lot of companies can do for themselves is to say, well, having these scenarios happen, like this happened before, okay, this may occur, this may happen. What can we do to kind of make sure that it doesn't happen at all? I think taking those kind of proactive approaches, instead of waiting for things to kind of happen to us, things in situations for like, customer service where people are, getting to this point where there's layers and layers of issues, what could have been stopped early on, what could have been done early on to help this customer to where they're not in this position in case now. So something to speak to your experience, Mr. Lewis, I would have said that honestly they should have, one, not taken 7 weeks. It's quite ridiculous. To get to working, the ball rolling for you, and to seeing as you are a customer, I believe in, making sure every customer has that same level customer experience. But for those who do come into the store, who are frequent shoppers, I make sure to create a more pleasurable experience to building the rapport and the connection with them, connecting with them, and making sure to treat them almost as if they're like family to me. Having them come in, greeting them, kind of already knowing what they kind of want and working with them to get to them quickly and developing, a kind of a connection with them. I think it's all about creating a relationship with customers, and having that continue on. So you keep coming back, not only, of course, to spend money, but you keep coming back, to have this service done and, you speak highly of it. Because I think, one thing that a lot of corporations don't understand that word of mouth, it travels fast.
Yes. Yeah.
Me, Mr. Ellis, or you may tell the viewers here about that story, and everything, and then that travels fast, for those corporations, well, I'm not going to go there, that happened to him. I want that to happen to me. So I think, creating that experience as you never know who's walking into your store. So make sure they have the experience that they can to make sure, they'll keep coming back for you, and they'll tell others. That's how you increase, the that's how you increase, customer experience. That's very valuable to people. That's how you create a connection with people and create, generally, revenue and, buzz, for your brand or for your business. I think that's the most powerful thing you can do. And I think that follows with, training the people that work in your store or your department or, in your business, to be able to have that kind of mentality to, to treat everyone with respect and to make sure that their problem is solved right when they walk in that door. I may not be able to solve it right then and there, but what steps can I take to be proactive to make sure that issue or that service is completed, effectively and, efficiently as well. I think that's, the most important things we can do. We don't have to get to the point where customers are upset. I think that's very avoidable. Yes, restorative practice. I think that's a great, practice to kind of, continue on with a lot of corporations, making sure that you restore and the relationship that you have with people, when things do go wrong, and making sure that you keep it, when the relationship that you do have with people, keeping that, solid, doing what you can to continue that relationship. Whether it's 10 years from now, you can always walk in and guarantee that I'll have a smile on my face and I'll help you right then and there. And you have a great quality product. I think that's a great thing that corporations and businesses can teach people to do. People can just do themselves as well too, making sure people are taken care of in that moment, and making sure their needs are met immediately and in full. I think a lot of times we kind of see it as, oh, this customer's coming in, I'm just going to tell them whatever, just to get them out the door. Like, no, they're coming in here for a reason. They're coming to see you. So make sure that, you're at your best self and you give them what they need to continue to come towards you and everything. I get a lot of time myself, people coming in to just see me, and just, work with me there. And I think that's what makes the job worth it. I think that's what makes, that experience worth it, not only for the customer, but for yourself as well too, knowing that you deliver, a great quality product, but great quality service each and every time for that customer. Sometimes it gets to the point, they get down the line that sorry is not good enough, that $200 is not good enough, that store credit's not good enough. I don't force the customer to come back to me. I want them to choose and make the choice to come back to me, because I know what I'm doing and I can deliver a quality experience for them.
Now,
Yeah,
we know that. Go ahead, Tommy.
I will share this because unfortunately I have a little bit of a hard stop on my end, Emmanuel, and the conversation can continue. I think is rich, but one thing you shared with me, a number of things resonated, but one thing in particular, and again, I'm so happy to talk with you because I'm learning as well.
Thank you.
Like Mr. Ellis, I run a business, and we've hired partners and staff and employees, and we've had some folks transition. Mm-hmm. So over the last several years, I have been doing some self-reflection on how am I as a leader servicing my employees.
That's excellent, Tommy.
And when you were talking, I realize now, I do, that I have not always been listening to my employees. I've been present. Right. They have articulated their concerns, complaints, needs, and wants. And in the busyness of my day and the busyness of my mind, you helped me realize that I wasn't really listening.
That's good, Tommy.
Yeah, I think that's great because you said, the apology may not be good enough. The in-store rebate or refund may not be good enough. All those things may not be good enough. Just to listen. And this is how fast I learn, my friend. Right. I'm different right now.
Excellent.
I'm different. So I'm thinking beginning today, because I'm running to a staff meeting, right? That I'm leading. Mm-hmm. Today, I had planned on the agenda to kind of talk through a lot to professionals who already know how to do what I'm asking them to do. Mm-hmm. You are saying to me, you don't need to do that with good customer service. Yeah. Don't overtalk people who know what they want already. They've come into your store. Here's what I want. Provide the service. Today, at the top of the hour.
That's good.
I'm going to listen. Yes. Right? Listen. Brother Emmanuel Jackson, thank you.
Thank you.
I mean that sincerely. Absolutely. I'll dial off now. Eric, if we can have this brother back.
We'll do it for sure. because we're going to invite some people and do a little customer service training kind of thing with him.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Love to.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, Tommy. Love you, man.
Yes, sir. Love you too. All right.
Emmanuel, we'll continue on. And I'd like you to just sort of speak. And I'm going to ask the community, they've been weighing in. If there's any questions that you all have that you want to raise or any kudos that you want to provide, certainly do that. Emmanuel, I see us doing some things together. So, because I've been thinking about customer service for a long time. I'm telling you that FedEx is in jeopardy right now. If they don't know it, that as you get more exposure, that more people are going to see you and decide, whoa, I hope I didn't lose him. You still there?
I think I might have lost you here.
Yeah, I see, I hear you. But we've lost a little. And if you need to go out and come back in, that's fine as well. But this has just been a fantastic conversation with Emmanuel Jackson. He is a store consultant for FedEx office. He's been giving us a powerful, excellent, you're back, been giving us the powerful example of a young man that has studied his craft. But I believe that beyond just studying the craft, that there's something that's a foundation there that feels like it may be a combination of your faith or how you were raised. You didn't get all of this from customer service training in college.
Yes,
Talk to us about what is the value of great customer service to that company. If you know anything about sort of monetary or customers, what does great customer service do? What does poor customer service cost organizations?
Yes. I want to apologize for the tech issues I had there. I kind of missed a large part of what you were saying there, so I apologize for that.
No problem.
But to go off answer your question for you, I think, a lot of things what companies miss sometimes is the value of kind of building up the employee that you have there. I think too much of the time experience, what's on your resume, where have you been in those places? Like, yes, that's very valuable, because what can they bring to the table to you now. But I think that what a lot of people can do in customer service and what corporations can do in customer service for a lot of their employees is help build them up and train them. I think training valuable thing. I think really honing in, prioritizing that training will allow people to be able to put them best selves forward in those customer service industries.
Right. Hold on, time out just a minute. I take these timeouts every once in a while just to sort of slow the picture frame down a little bit.
Sure.
I want to slow things down. And I want to go back to where you started. You said preparing people for customer service. First of all, you have to see your employee as your first customer.
Yes.
And you're saying that in many ways, it's almost hypocritical for a company to try to tell you to treat that customer well if they don't feel treated well.
Yes.
So you're saying the first thing that I can do before I offer any outside training is I can deliver, I can demonstrate to you what I want you to demonstrate to the customer. And I suspect that you're saying that if I do a poor job at that, I'm already teaching you.
Yeah.
So before I ever pay for you to go to somebody else's training, I'm doing training myself in terms of how I interact with you. And you're saying that's the first place to start. I think that's powerful.
Yes, sir. I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's all about investing. I think it's about investing into your employees. I think that's an excellent point. The first customer that you see is your employees for a lot of corporations. So investing in them and training them up in the ways that you wish to see, them kind of act and behave, and kind of put off, for your company and be the face of that is how the face of your company will be reflected as. I think, the first interactions that we see a lot of FedEx office, think of FedEx globally, for instance, as shipping and production. But the first thing you see, you walk into the store, you'll see my face, you'll see other people's faces, you'll see the drivers, you'll see the people in corporate, you'll see the people in the stores like me, you see our faces. So I think that's the first thing, training and prioritizing, the well-being of their employees. I think a lot of companies unfortunately fall short of that. They don't invest in their, in their employees, and their well-being. I think, if you have happy people who work in a happy environment, thank you, sir. Thank you. I think if you have happy people who work in a happy environment and you do what it takes to continue to make them happy, you have happy employees now reflect to happy customers, so a lot of the times people can't, kind of divide, what they're going through and how happy they are with the company to creating a better experience, for, customers. And that's very valid. A lot of people can, don't see the value in that. But I think, what corporations can do is actually invest, paying people what they're worth, investing in, not only professional development, also in their personal life too, having them feel wanted, needed, and desired and appreciated for the work that they do. That goes a very, very long way. And I think that's a lot of people, kind of miss the mark on a lot of corporations. But I think that kind of honestly directly affects how your employees treat customers, who come into the store. I think that, if you don't have happy people, how can you make happy customers,
Right.
It's
Talk to me a little bit about FedEx now. Talk to us about the organization, FedEx office, FedEx corporate. Give us the structure of how FedEx looks, and then I want to ask you some questions about how diverse their leadership is.
Yes, sir. So to my knowledge and understanding, the breakdown of FedEx is we have kind of different components working together. I think of it as a well-oiled machine, kind of working together. So you have me who work in FedEx office, that's more so people coming in to do the shipping, to create the labels, to packaging and things like that, and to kind of creating, the initial setup to where the package might be shipped or even the production. Because a lot of people don't know, I think back, I think it was in 2005 or kind of further, maybe back as well too. FedEx actually took over Kinko's. So
right, I remember Kinko's.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A lot of customers come in and refer to us as Kinko's because we do production value things. So we do printing, we do production, we make signs, banners, graphics. Honestly, anything you see as far as marketing, as far as like tangible things that people have, like magazines, things like that, we can create those inside of FedEx office. Actually, that's kind of a part of the service that we offer. So that's kind of generally in short, kind of FedEx office in a whole. And then on top of that, you have FedEx as far as shipping. So you have FedEx Express, you have FedEx Ground. That's kind of two entities that kind of specialize, and freight as well too. My apologies. You have FedEx Freight, FedEx Ground, and FedEx Express. That's kind of the that you have. That entities that you kind of have over kind of the more so shipping aspects. That's taking the package delivery into businesses, people, globally as well too, organizations. FedEx has corporations and FedEx ship centers that have all across the nation where they have an influx of packages come in, and it's in the millions, I would say too. I think the Memphis largest one they have actually, and that service is almost roughly probably over 12 million packages almost a day. So it's impressive to see, all this kind of mechanisms working together, and you kind of have the overarching corporation. So you have the corporate offices, people more so on the back end side as far as, kind of making sure that the well-oiled machine has a function and ebb and flow to it. So they're more so maybe the brain of operation. So they have people, overseeing the operation to make sure it runs smoothly. So that kind of is like a little small kind of brief overview of what kind of FedEx operates. And kind of, going from that, have different types of practices that kind of, stem from that. So you have, contracted work, you may have collaborations between businesses. We also have a small collaboration to speak towards that with the post office. I think it's called Smart Posts, where we deliver a package only so far, and the post office takes over from there to deliver to a PO box or to an inaccessible area that we have, or even vice versa as well too. So you have many different components kind of work together across a very large and vast field. That's kind of like the structure and overlay of the FedEx world in general.
Okay, so I was just over here pulling up some pictures of FedEx corporate leadership, and I don't see any real color. Am I missing something?
No, sir. I think that's also, where, maybe the companies such as and business such as yourself can come in to kind of create, a kind of a framework for companies to kind of develop the diversity, equity, inclusion. Sadly, I think a lot of the world in which we live in today, we don't get to see a lot of representation from ourselves, from our community. Aspects and cultures and walks of life. That's the sad part about it. And I think that is a very important and a very vast downfall of a lot of corporations, is they don't see the value in hiring people, with diverse backgrounds, or who, identify, with many different, aspects and culturally, just identifiers that kind of make them, into the diverse person that they are. I think that's, a lot of companies fall short, honestly. I think if you don't have people who look like us or who have social cultural backgrounds, identifiers, you don't have them in that room. And we don't have them in that room, how can they advocate for the people who do look like them, or people who are closely related to them in those identifiers? I think I think it's very important to always have, people of all, identities, walks of life and culture in that room. I think that, having them have a seat at the table is very, very, very important. It's a vital component to making sure that your company is, diverse, that you have inclusion, that there at your company, that you have people who are, value different communities and different publics that you serve. If you don't have that, you get, very, very biased, very stereotypical. We see a lot of white, men, in that cisgender men that are in these higher level of positions, and they can't really speak to experiences of people in who are African American, in Asian communities and Hispanic communities. You can't have they can't really speak to people in the LGBTQI plus community. You can't speak to people if they're men, people who are different genders than them. They can't speak to that. They don't know that experience. So what's important to do is to have those people who look like us, and everything, the people that you serve, essentially in the public, and having very diverse meeting rooms, board of trustees, just in general, people who actually run the organization, having those people in those spaces so they can advocate for us, and hope that they can advocate for us and make your company more diverse, and also inclusion to the public and the people that you have, that you serve, and that you already have in your company. And I think that's important for a lot of corporations kind of stem towards. I like to have this kind of lens of very performative kind of working that they do. They say they stand for these communities and cultures, but it doesn't reflect that within their business. They don't, like you said, a lot of people like, I know you stand for my community and me as a person. When I don't see me, people like me in your higher ranking positions. We may have at the very base level in the FedEx offices, at the shipping, in the corporation worlds. But why does it stop? Why does it not continue further? Matter, what people like me who can speak to more experiences, in the culture diverse background. Why are we not present there? And I think a lot of things that I have started currently, because I'm always looking to learn, is I look more so upon when I'm walking into a company corporation, I may see people who look like me, or people who with my different type of background or cultural identity, but I start to look towards who's on their board of trustees, who's making the big shots, who's the the CEO, are those people, and what do they kind of identify as, what they have to offer. Have they had diverse ally training? I'm not sure if I can look that up, but have they had that diverse? What are their previous experience? How are they going to be able to assist not only the customers but also me in my development? Are they going to be able to understand me? Are they representing me well? Are they representing their own communities well? I think that's a very important thing.
Right. So I'm looking at you all's leadership right now, FedEx Corporate. Okay. Wow. Let's see. Well, I see Ramona Hood. I guess she is the president and CEO of FedEx Custom Critical. She looks to be African American female. That may be it. That may be it. So some opportunity there. Let me run by a couple of other things, just common areas of cross-cultural conflict in customer service, and ask you to just sort of weigh in on some of these, your perspective. One of the things that, how do people feel about customers who do the following? If people feel discounted or refusing to deal with women, have you seen some businesses that struggle with that? What's the problem with that?
Yes, unfortunately so. I think there's a very large misogynistic kind of lens, that kind of goes a lot of these corporations, stemming from, a lot of these corporations, who have been around longer time, they kind of stem from the patriarchy, where the space for women is not, necessarily developed or made for them to kind of be into. And I think it's a shame that we are still now in 2021, don't have spaces for women to be in. We don't treat, with the glass ceiling and the pink tax. A lot of women don't receive the same level of respect, as well as spaces to be in, as a lot of men are. And I think that's a very grave issue that needs to be met and resolved quickly and soon. Because I believe that everyone should be treated respectfully. With the the respect they deserve, but also women deserve to be in those spaces. Everyone deserves to be in those spaces, not just, cisgender, Caucasian males. I think that all the time, the people like, different, backgrounds and identities get kicked out of those spaces, and I see that and that reflects, into their business. There are corporations who, don't see, have a lot of women, in their corporations. And I noticed that, a lot of the times, and that's due to because of the patriarchy, and the misogyny that they kind of reflect, from having those all kind of like all boys club men kind of, boards, where it's only just them on there, that reflects very poorly on, not only their leadership, but also how they're able to, speak to different, type of, backgrounds and issues and topics and everything that harms them at the end of the day. I think women deserve to be in all places, in any field, and everyone does. I think that
right. Let me continue to ask you, what do you see as the impact of sort of the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, racial pandemic, George Floyd? You're a millennial.
Yeah.
What are we seeing in terms of leadership from millennials in this space? Sort of this post George Floyd, this sort of social media driven world. What do you think the impact of these things colliding? How does that relate to customer service and DE&I within corporations?
Yes. So that's an excellent question. Thank you. I think that, I think it's a bit of a revolution, honestly, in my opinion. I think we're seeing a great shift and change, Mr. Ellis, about how people see corporations, how we see each other, and how, the kind of tolerable, subtle racism and, overt racism that we've been seeing is becoming to the point where it's a zero, policy. And I think it should be a very zero tolerant policy for that. I think, through these kind of interactions of, police brutality in the Black Lives Matter movement, things we've been seeing kind of, more so recently, more so. And it's been around for, some time and everything, but now we're having, due to the age of technology and social media, it's a lot more broadcast. So I think, now there's a lot more of exposing of corporations, who kind of aid to that kind of, racism, institutionalized racism that happens, and that kind of aids to even police brutality as well, too. I think that we're seeing, that we're starting to see those things and recognize that things. I think awareness is one of the greatest things that you can do for yourself, for your company, is to be aware of situations that are going on, to be kept up currently, on, things that may happen, socially around you, politics and things in communities and cultures that may have nothing to do with you. I think the most important thing we can do is be self-taught and to also learn from people by listening to people and their stories and doing what we can to kind of help people out, kind of a lean on my sister or my brother kind of aspect and everything, and help them, to spaces where, say for myself, that I can't presently be in, someone else is in there, or if I can be in that space, inviting people onto that space. And I think, having conversations, I think having, speaking to DEI, having conversations, about diversity, inclusion, what does that look like for, other people? What can I do to make people feel seen and heard? I think those conversations don't happen a lot. I think they need to start happening a lot more.
Right. Well, let me give you a difficult question.
Yes, sir.
So, and I'm going to start it out with the precursor of this is a difficult question. I don't want you to think about this from the customer service lens.
Okay.
We're in the midst of a divided nation, ideological civil war. We have people like you and I who are big champions, advocates of diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives. But you have a whole community, 45% maybe of the nation that are very conservative, nationalistic, and don't really value diversity at all. What I see oftentimes is that companies have tried to sort of stay off the grid, under the radar, so that they didn't have to make a decision because their customers, let's just simplify it and say it's 50-50. So almost anything you say in this space is going to offend 50% of your customers. What's your recommendation to companies as to how they navigate that line when they feel as though they are in need of the business of people on both sides? What's the answer?
Yes, sir. That is a difficult question. I will say that's a tough one. So what I can say to that, speaking from just my knowledge and personal background, I believe that, when dealing with, kind of divided people in two sides, I think the best thing that you can do is honestly not play the both sides. I think a lot of times taking a neutral stance is seen as silence. I think silence can be very, very violent. And I think that, taking a silent stand when there's clear that maybe the division there is due to, oppressive factors at play. I think that, taking the side of oppressor, and being neutral in it and not speaking up and using your voice as a corporation to kind of, unify the, with the oppressive side, everything that's choosing the side of violence, that's choosing the side of the oppressor. And I think that honestly, sometimes with that division, it's clear that they're making actually the choice to side with, one other side, that oppressive side, people who are, very, per se, come from a place of privilege. And I think a lot of the times that, a lot of corporations choose that side, that's, generally been the norm for so long, a lot of times. And I think we're seeing, uprising, and, people not tolerating that anymore, that people
Right.
people see that. It's very easy to see that with any corporation. So trying to hide from that is kind of trying to hide in the open field,
Right.
above your head,
Right.
I think corporations need to understand that we do see that. We see that there's not space for us, not representation, that you don't serve people like us, things like that. I think, when people try to, stay silent, not speak up and not, seek to, help the side of people who are being oppressed, people who aren't being seen, you are actively choosing the side of the oppressor. You are, your silence is violence because you're enabling, the behaviors that they are doing, contributing to that oppress people like me. So I think that,
Right.
companies can do is to look
Right.
to what other publics they can serve. Sometimes it's a rough thing to do. Sometimes you might need to change your public. Sometimes, serving, people who are nationalists, and white supremacist kind of groups and things like that, and other groups, who kind of have
That
that.
may not be all good business.
Yes, exactly. That's yes.
So basically what you're saying in many ways is that companies have to find ways to live out the values that they oftentimes espouse. And what you're saying is that when you do the right thing, it actually is good business. And so if we look at Nike, and when Nike came out and supported Kaepernick, and then what it brought back to them in terms of business. And I think that you're saying what's a reality, that you're not going to be able to just keep riding the fence on this, because I hear what you're saying is that people that are marginalized and oppressed, that's not a 50-50 thing then. This is not 50-50. Right. If anybody is being marginalized, whether it's people of color, LGBTQ plus community, Latinx, Appalachian whites, because of their income, whoever's being marginalized, dismissed, and excluded, that's wrong. Yeah. You're saying there's no equivalent to that. There actually is no legitimate opponent to that. There's right and doing the right thing, and then there are sort of continuing the status quo that may be harming people who are historically disenfranchised. I think that that's a very strong response. Let me see if I have one more here that I can run past you. Our time is running out. We're coming up on the top of the hour. It's been great.
Likewise.
Let's see. Have you seen people struggle? One of the common areas, cross-cultural conflict, is people that have heavy accents or limited English. Oftentimes, they are not seen as customers or served well, or people are screaming at them as though if I talk to you louder, that somehow it's going to make this situation better. Right. What's your advice around how do you navigate those to avoid companies falling in from a customer service position of not seeing their customers where English is a second language as customers?
Yes. I think that is a very important issue to discuss. I think that happens a lot of the time. I see that myself a lot of times in FedEx office. We have people whose, second language is English. I think that, yes, I agree to that. Lip service is a form of silence. Yes, it is. I think a lot of times people see them as, see people who have English as second language as a secondary customer, and they're not a secondary customer. They're a customer just as the same. I think a lot of times people see, opportunities, where it's like an easy transaction. Oh, I can service that, everything, but I can't. They put it off, for people who, right. be a little more difficult to understand. I think what corporations can do is actually having more diverse people. So people who, come from those backgrounds, and people who understand people from those backgrounds, per se, as in their language, in their culture, and I think that that can be done by one, hiring people who speak those languages into those spaces and bringing them into those spaces, and having people who speak those languages, such as me speaking Spanish, English, or people who are able to speak, Russian, or different type of dialects in the Asian communities, or different type of dialects in different across the world, having people who speak those languages, who are bilingual or multilingual, to be in those spaces. So hiring those people, I think that's a great value to have, and a very good skill to have, is be able to speak more language, and teaching that as well too. If you have people from a certain culture who you may come into certain stores, or maybe interact with their business, teach your employees or teach yourself to start how to speak that language. I think it's quite simple to kind of meet someone where they are in certain situations and times, and treating them as they are a valuable customer, working with them. I myself have been met with people who have English as a second language, but I'll come in, I'll do my absolute best to understand them. We have so much technology these days that doesn't get used. There's Google Translate, Rosetta Stone, Duolingo, and things like that. So I on the clock, I'll pull those programs up, and let's say, what can I do? What can I do to understand you better? It's not about them understanding us, it's about us understanding them. So what can I do to help you to make this a more enjoyable experience for you, by understanding what your needs might are, and how I can meet them through our language barrier. Barriers are just something to get over, and everything. I think people want to do the work to actually get over those barriers. They see it as a stopping point. Say no, see it as a challenge. Just say, what can I do to kind of better understand and put myself in their shoes to better understand them.
Right. Emmanuel, as we're coming to a close, is there anything else that you want to talk about, ask about, anything else you want to share, so that people can better understand you, your philosophies, and your, the work that you do? Is there anything else that you want to ask, say, or share?
Yes, sir. No, I'll do so very quickly, because I don't want to run out of time here. Yes, I would say, honestly, what I hold dear and close to myself is the policy of, including people, making people feel wanted, making people feel heard. I believe, honestly, with anything I do, whether it's in my professional life, academic life, or, career-wise, I always look to listen first. I'm always a listening ear. I look to listen so I can better serve. I think that's a very valuable thing we can do, because I think, once you learn more, I always believe that, even though I'm not currently a student, I always see myself as a student. I'm always teachable. I think people learn to be so teachable, and what you can learn from, conversations, talking with people, being in certain experiences, and taking that into certain rooms and settings, and what you can do to kind of, create a very environment, not only for yourself, but for other people as well too. And I think, it's important to also, with corporations and to people in general, to always stand for something, use your voice. You don't understand how valuable your voice is, not only when you speak for yourself, but when you can speak to others as well too. I think if you stand for something, you can accomplish anything. If you don't stand for anything, you fall for everything. I think that's why take is, no, it's not about being on the fence or 50-50. It's about doing what's right and doing the right thing to do for people, and making sure people are equal, not only equal, but having equality, but also equity as well too. Trying to rectify things that have happened, maybe equally here and present, but maybe that person have experienced a couple of other things as well too. What can I do to make sure they're on the same level, they're given the same opportunities as well too. I think people need to recognize their privilege in a lot of places and times. They have certain opportunities other people may not have. So what they can do, how can you use your privilege to help others, help see others in the same door that you've been walking through. A lot of people don't have that opportunity. So that's kind of the kind of work I hold to myself, making sure people, marginalized groups especially, are helped out in that essence of, we're rectifying the wrong. You can't rectify all the wrongs through history that have happened and everything, but what matters, what you can do now currently to make things right, and making sure that those situations happening in the past do not continue for people who are being oppressed. I think that's a very.
So let me ask you this: what's your goal? I mean, what do you define as success for you, and what do you ultimately want to do?
Honestly, and this is gonna sound really cliche, just make people happy and make people feel included and loved. I think that's honestly, with any type of work that I want to do, in life going further on, is make people feel like they're included, that they're seen, that they're heard, and well represented in those spaces. I think we're pushing towards that, but I think that a lot of people can keep the ball rolling and even push it faster if people, kind of all jump on board. I think, if we, really work towards making sure people, feel like heard and seen in a lot of spaces they haven't been in. That does a lot of great work for a lot of people, even for yourself as well too. And, working towards that, I look to, work with things of sustainability, in many spaces, work with diversity and inclusion, and kind of work towards developing those kind of, trainings, programs, marketing, and just honestly spaces where people can exist freely, and be in those spaces where they can feel like they are being seen and heard, and just any work I can do with that, I'm willing to do so.
Excellent. Advice, recommendations, and obvious actions are exactly what increase the likelihood that tomorrow will be just like yesterday. Listening is a better alternative. Thank you, Dan. As you'll see, Emmanuel, we have a wonderful community of people that join us. And I can tell you that when I started this by myself, it was okay. And then Tommy and I came together and it got good. But then when the community started coming in and guests, it got even better. So that's what I see, is that I talk about achieving sustainable inclusion as being a constant state of becoming more inclusive. So I see each day as an opportunity to grow. And you have given us this wonderful, precious opportunity of growth this Saturday, June the 12th, 2021. Thank you for your contributions, man. Thank you for the work that you do that was noteworthy in the midst of a very busy week and a lot of stress around a powerful, presentation with a client. I can tell you the work that you delivered made a difference. They talked about it. They felt the love that you put into that document and that coil ring that you put on it. They noticed all of that. They noticed that 60 bond paper that you recommended to me. They noticed the beauty of the cover and the beauty of the document. And then they also appreciated the meat that was put on each of those pages. So thank you for the contribution that you've made to me, the success of integrity. This is not our last conversation. Community, thank you for weighing in. I want to tell you to go out, take the advice of Emmanuel Jackson, love somebody, care somebody, give them great service, and great things will happen for you as well. Take care. Have a great week.
God bless.
God bless.